All right, welcome to your AI deep dive. Looks like you've been busy. Articles, research papers, even video transcripts. You've really dug deep into how AI is showing up everywhere in our lives.
Oh, yeah.
So let's forget those Hollywood robots taking over the world and focus on the AI that's already here,
Of course.
quietly working behind the scenes, making things easier, more efficient, maybe even a little bit creepy if you think about it too much. Like, did you ever think you'd be telling your house to make coffee?
Well, that's just one tiny example.
Yeah.
But it illustrates a bigger point.
Ah.
AI is already here. It's everywhere.
Right, like we've got personalized recommendations, AI in healthcare, even self-driving cars, right? But first, I think we need to get a handle on what exactly AI is doing and what makes it tick.
Well, I think what's really interesting about AI is that it's often invisible. It's subtly shaping our experiences without us even realizing it.
Yeah, it's like an invisible partner. And it's getting more powerful every day. You know, one of the video transcripts you sent over mentioned that the number of digital voice assistants has doubled in the last 5 years.
Yeah, and that just goes to show how quickly AI is becoming part of our daily lives.
I mean, from 4.2 billion to 8.4 billion, that's a lot of people talking to their devices. So what's driving this AI explosion?
A lot of it has to do with automation. AI excels at taking over repetitive or complex tasks, which, frees up our time and energy for other things.
Like telling our houses to make coffee.
Exactly. Or think about those virtual assistants. They can schedule appointments, answer questions, even control your smart home, all with a simple voice command.
It's almost like magic. You know, I actually read an article about a guy who used AI to automate his entire morning routine. Lights, coffee, news updates, all done before he even got out of bed.
Well, it might seem like magic, but it's all about algorithms and data. AI systems are trained on massive amounts of data, allowing them to learn patterns and make predictions.
Okay, so it's not magic, but it's definitely changing the way we work and live. And the job market, right? I mean, one of the articles you shared talked about how AI could potentially replace millions of jobs in the coming years.
It's a valid concern. But AI is also creating new jobs and opportunities, and it's changing the very nature of work.
It's like, what skills do we need to learn to thrive in this AI-powered world?
Adaptability,
Yeah.
creativity, critical thinking.
Yeah.
These are skills that AI can't, at least not yet, replicate.
It's like the future belongs to those who can work alongside AI.
Exactly. It's not about replacing humans, but about augmenting our capabilities.
Okay. AI is making us more efficient, changing the way we work, potentially taking our jobs, and doing who knows what else. But what about this whole thing with those eerily accurate recommendations we get online? You know, like how Netflix knows exactly what you want to watch before you even know it yourself?
Oh yeah, that's the power of machine learning. Those recommendation engines analyze tons of data about your preferences and behaviors to predict what you'll enjoy.
Okay, but how does it actually work? It's like, are they spying on us?
Well, not exactly spying, but they're definitely watching what you do online, what you buy, what you listen to, even what you click on. And all that data feeds into these algorithms that create a personalized experience for each user.
I have to say, sometimes it feels a little creepy. Like, how do they know? I was just thinking about buying a new pair of shoes.
Well, that's the goal, to anticipate your needs and desires. And it can be incredibly effective.
Effective, but also maybe a little manipulative. Like, are we being influenced by these algorithms in ways we don't even realize?
It's a valid concern. We need to be aware of how these algorithms work and be mindful of the information we share online.
Okay, so AI is making our lives easier, changing the job market, and maybe manipulating our minds. But how about the other side of the coin? What about AI and security? You know, like keeping our data safe, protecting our finances, all that stuff.
Yeah, AI is having a huge impact on security. And it's not just about protecting our data,
Yeah.
but also our physical safety.
One of the videos you sent talked about how AI-powered facial recognition is being used by law enforcement to solve crimes, but it also raised questions about privacy and potential misuse, you know?
Right, it's a classic example of the dual nature of AI. It can be a force for good, but it can also be used in ways that are ethically questionable.
Like, where do we draw the line?
It's a complex issue with no easy answers,
Okay.
but it's a conversation we need to be having.
All right, so we've got AI automating our lives, changing the job market, influencing our shopping habits, and even playing a role in security. Is there anything AI can't do?
Well, I wouldn't go that far. AI is a powerful tool, but it's not magic. It's still in its early stages of development.
Okay, so we need to be realistic about its capabilities.
Absolutely. But it's definitely a technology that's going to continue to shape our world in profound ways.
Well, you've definitely given me a lot to think about. AI is everywhere, and it's only getting more powerful. But before we move on, I think it's time to take a closer look at one area where AI is having a particularly big impact: healthcare.
Oh yeah, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, and that's what we'll be diving into in the next part of your AI deep dive. All right, so we talked about AI automating our homes, like making coffee before we even get out of bed.
Hmm.
We talked about how it's changing the job market and all those crazy accurate recommendations we get online.
Right.
But what about AI in healthcare? You sent over a ton of stuff about that.
Yeah, well, AI's potential in healthcare is huge. We're already seeing it used for like diagnosing diseases and developing new treatments.
It's like almost sci-fi.
Right.
Yeah.
It is. But it's really happening.
Okay, so in one article you shared, it talked about how AI can analyze medical images, like X-rays, CT scans, all those things.
Right.
And apparently AI can spot things, like patterns, that even doctors might miss.
Exactly. And because AI can process huge amounts of data way faster than humans, it's a really powerful tool for medical research.
Okay, but how exactly is AI being used in healthcare right now?
Well, for one, it's helping doctors make better diagnoses.
Hmm.
It can also help personalize treatment plans based on a patient's individual needs.
Wow, that's amazing.
And researchers are using AI to develop new drugs and therapies. It's really accelerating the whole process.
So it's like AI is making healthcare more efficient, more personalized, and potentially even more effective.
Exactly. It really has the potential to revolutionize the way we approach healthcare.
Okay, so you also sent over a video transcript about chatbots in healthcare. I found that really fascinating.
Oh yeah, chatbots are becoming more and more popular in healthcare. They can provide 204/7 support and answer questions from patients.
Like, I remember reading about a chatbot that helps people manage diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
It can track blood sugar levels, remind people to take their medication, and even give advice about diet and exercise.
Right, and these chatbots can be really helpful for people who live in rural areas or who have trouble getting to the doctor.
It's like bringing healthcare to people who might not otherwise have access.
Exactly. AI has the potential to make quality healthcare more accessible to everyone.
Okay, but with all these potential benefits, what about the risks? Like, what about data privacy?
Well, yeah, that's a major concern. We need to make sure that patient data is protected and used responsibly.
Right. And another article talked about potential bias in AI algorithms.
Right. Yeah.
Like, what if the algorithms are trained on data that's already biased?
That's a really important point. We need to make sure that the data we use to train AI is diverse and representative of the population.
Okay, so it sounds like we're still in the early stages of figuring out how to use AI safely and ethically in healthcare.
Yeah, but the potential benefits are so great
Yeah.
that it's definitely worth exploring.
So it's like this powerful tool that we're still learning how to use.
Exactly. And we need to approach it with caution and a commitment to doing what's right.
Okay, so we've got AI making us more efficient, changing the way we work, influencing our shopping habits, playing a role in security, and now transforming healthcare. Is there anything AI can't do?
Well, it's not magic. It's a tool, a powerful tool, but it has limitations, and we need to be mindful of those.
So we need to be realistic about its capabilities.
Right. AI is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It's up to us to decide how we use it.
Okay, so before we wrap up this part of our AI deep dive, I want to shift gears a bit.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about AI in the big picture, like in healthcare and the job market. But I want to bring it back to something a little closer to home, something we use every day,
All right.
our smartphones.
Oh, yeah, those.
And that's what we'll be diving into in the next part of your AI deep dive. All right, so we're back. Last time we ended on smartphones and how AI is making them, well, smarter. I mean, it's not just faster processors and more storage anymore, right?
No, not at all.
We're talking AI that can practically read our minds, knows what we want before we do.
It really is amazing how personalized these devices are becoming, learning our habits and preferences, anticipating our needs.
Like those smart homes we were talking about.
Right.
You sent over an article about how AI is changing the way we live, and honestly, some of it sounded straight out of a sci-fi movie, like thermostats that learn your ideal temperature and adjust automatically.
Yeah, and security systems that recognize your friends and family.
Oh, and refrigerators that can make grocery lists for you.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
all about making our lives easier and more efficient.
I know, it's incredible. But part of me worries, are we getting too dependent on this technology? Like, what happens if the power goes out? Do we even remember how to do things ourselves?
That's a good point. It's about finding that balance. Using AI as a tool to enhance our lives, not completely take over.
Right, like, sure, I love the idea of a fridge that tells me what to buy. But I probably shouldn't forget how to check for spoiled milk myself, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of smart devices, you sent over a bunch of research on smartwatches. I have to admit, I'm pretty curious about those.
Yeah, well, smartwatches are a great example of how personal AI is getting and how integrated into our lives.
It's not just telling time anymore, right? You shared this research paper about how AI is making them much more accurate at tracking our health, like heart rate, sleep patterns, all that.
Yeah. And there are even smartwatches that can detect irregular heartbeats now,
It's incredible, like having a personal doctor on your wrist.
pretty much.
But again, it does raise questions about privacy. How much information do we want these devices to have about us?
Yeah, that's an important consideration with all this technology. We need to be mindful of what we're sharing.
Okay, so from smart homes to smartwatches, AI is changing the way we live, work, and even take care of our health.
Mm-hmm.
But before we wrap up, I wanted to go back to something we touched on earlier. The whole idea of AI replacing jobs.
Right.
It's a concern a lot of people have, and it's understandable.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, AI can do so much now. What happens when it can do everything?
Well, I don't think we're at that point yet. But it is true that AI will automate certain tasks and roles.
Okay, so some jobs will be lost.
Yes, but new jobs will be created too. That's always been the case with technological advancements.
It's like we can't even imagine what those new jobs will be yet, right?
Exactly. It's an exciting time, but we need to be prepared. Embrace lifelong learning, keep our skills sharp, and be open to new opportunities.
It's like the key is to adapt and figure out how to work alongside AI.
That's the future. Not humans versus machines, but humans and machines working together.
I like that. So, okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. From personalized recommendations to smart homes to the future of work, it seems like AI is everywhere we look.
It is. It's transforming our world in incredible ways.
And that's just the beginning, right?
Oh yeah, we're just scratching the surface of what AI can do.
Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Stay curious. Keep learning about AI. It's a fascinating field, and it's only going to become more important.
And maybe a little bit scary sometimes too, right?
Maybe, but mostly exciting.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. All right, thanks for joining us on this AI deep dive. We'll see you next time.